Today, we're breaking down the entire roadmap for Season 2 and beyond. There are 2 sequel novellas already written, along with some leaked details regarding a potential 4th story. But first, we have to talk about a major change the show made from the books. In the original story, Prince Maekar openly agrees to let Egg squire for Dunk. In the show, however, they framed it as Egg running away in secret once again. There's a theory circulating that Maekar actually did give his permission behind closed doors. By framing it as a runaway prince scenario, Maekar protects the royal reputation while still allowing his son to squire for a hedge knight. So, the second novella begins with Dunk and Egg deciding to head to Dorne. In the books, this happens off-page. We only hear about it through Dunk's memories later. But according to showrunner Ira Parker, we'll see this in Season 2 since the second book is shorter than the first, at just 100 pages. We see Dunk and Egg travel to Vaith in the Dornish desert. Dunk learns how to ride a sand steed, and Egg likely learns a lot about Dornish customs. After their time in the desert, they travel back north. On their way, they run out of money and take service with Sir Eustace Osgrey. We pick up about a year and a half after the tragedy at Ashford. A massive drought has hit the Reach, and the Great Spring Sickness has killed many people in Westeros, including King Daeron II and Baelor's sons, Valar and Mataris. Now, Aerys I is king, with Bloodraven as Hand of the King, and the world has become much more miserable. Dunk is now a sworn sword for Sir Eustace Osgrey, an old, depressed knight living in a crumbling tower called Standfast. Dunk and Egg discover that the stream feeding Eustace's land, the Chequy Water, has completely dried up. Dunk follows the riverbed upstream and finds that the neighbor, Lady Rohanne Webber, the Red Widow, has built a dam to divert the water to her own castle, Coldmoat. Dunk finds one of Rohanne's workers and in a rage slices the man's cheek. This tiny moment of violence effectively starts a small war. Eustace is terrified. He tells Dunk that Lady Rohanne is a monster who murdered 4 husbands and practices dark magic. Dunk goes to Coldmoat to deliver an apology and offer to pay a fine for the wounded worker. However, Rohanne refuses the money. Instead, she demands a physical blood price, insisting that the man who did it, Dunk, be handed over to her. When he arrives, he finds that Rohanne isn't a witch. In fact, she's just a sharp, red-headed woman in a man's world. She reveals the truth to Dunk. The river doesn't belong to the Osgreys anymore. It was actually a forfeiture. The Osgreys lost the river and most of their land because they supported the Blackfyres during the rebellion. King Daeron II took the land from the traitor Osgreys and gave it to the loyal Webbers. Furthermore, her father's will states she must marry a 5th time within a short window, or she loses her castle to a creepy cousin named Wendell Webber. She's damming the river because she's desperate to show strength, so no one tries to steal her land. Despite the tension, there's heavy chemistry between Dunk and Rohanne. She even slaps him, then later offers him a position in her own service. Dunk, being stubborn and loyal, refuses. Dunk goes back to Standfast to tell Eustace the truth. After hearing all this, Eustace finally confesses why he's so poor and why he hates the Webbers. During the First Blackfyre Rebellion, Eustace and his family fought for Daemon Blackfyre. Eustace lost all 3 of his sons on the red grass field. He explains that he isn't a traitor, he just followed the man he thought was a better king. Dunk is horrified. He realizes he's been serving a man who fought against Egg's family. Egg is even more furious, seeing Eustace as nothing but a rebel. They eventually agree to work together to settle the immediate conflict. Lady Rohanne marches her small army to the stream to demand the man who cut her worker. Sir Eustace meets her with his army of 3 peasants. To stop a massacre, Dunk proposes a trial by combat. He fights Rohanne's champion, a brutal man named Sir Lucas Longinch Inchfield. The fight is ugly. It's 2 big men hacking at each other in the middle of the riverbed. The trial technically ends in a draw, or is at least interrupted, by the fact that both men went under the water. However, because the Longinch drowned and Dunk survived, Rohanne accepts it as a win for Dunk. Dunk wakes up days later at Coldmoat. The blood debt is considered paid, but while he was unconscious, the most ironic thing happened. Sir Eustace and Lady Rohanne got married. They realize that by marrying each other, Eustace gets his water back, and Rohanne keeps her castle from her cousin. In their final meeting, Rohan and Dunk are alone. The tension is through the roof. She basically begs him to stay, but Dunk knows he can't be a sworn sword to a lady he's in love with while being a mentor to a prince. Before he leaves, Rohan asks him for a token. Dunk, having nothing, tells her to take whatever she wants. She takes a dagger and cuts off her long, signature red braid, giving it to him as a goodbye. Then, Egg and Dunk set off for White Walls in the Riverlands. The third book begins with Dunk and Egg heading north toward Winterfell, as Dunk hopes to take service with the Starks. On the road, they encounter a colorful group of lords traveling to White Walls, the massive white stone castle of Lord Butterwell. They are all heading there for a wedding between Lord Butterwell and a daughter of House Frey. To celebrate the wedding, a massive tourney is being hosted, where the grand prize is a real dragon egg. This is a huge deal because dragons have been dead for decades, making the egg a symbol of ultimate power to any lord who owns it. Dunk decides to enter the tourney as a mystery knight, under the name of the Gallows Knight. At the castle, we meet two crucial characters. The first is John the Fiddler, a handsome and charismatic young knight who is suspiciously wealthy. He tells Dunk he had a dragon dream, in which Dunk would one day wear the white cloak of the Kingsguard. The second is Sir Maynard Plum, a cynical hedge knight who seems to know everyone's secrets. Keep an eye on him. He's the most important person in the room. As the tourney begins, Dunk starts noticing that things are off. Almost every lord at White Walls is a former Blackfyre supporter. He soon realizes it's a secret political rally. Dunk's time in the lists doesn't go well either, as he is humiliated in his first joust by a knight named Sir Uthor Underleaf, who later reveals that someone actually paid him to kill Dunk during the match. While Dunk is recovering, he discovers the truth. The handsome John the Fiddler is actually Daemon the Second Blackfyre. Daemon believes his own dreams and wants to win the dragon egg, hatch it, and use it to spark the Second Blackfyre Rebellion to overthrow the Targaryen family. The plot thickens when the dragon egg goes missing. Chaos breaks out as the egg is stolen from Lord Butterwell's guarded chambers, and the lords begin accusing one another. Dunk gets caught in the middle and is nearly murdered by a traitor named Sir Tomard Heddle, but he manages to kill Heddle in a brutal fight. Meanwhile, Egg, realizing they are surrounded by traitors, uses his secret weapon. He shows his Targaryen signet ring to Lord Butterwell. Butterwell, who is a coward at heart, realizes he's picked the losing side and starts panicking. Terrified that the king will find out he hosted a rebel meeting, he immediately switches sides and pleads for mercy, offering to give up the other conspirators to save his own life. During the chaos, Sir Maynard Plum helps Dunk navigate the castle while giving him cryptic advice. It is eventually revealed that Maynard Plum is actually Brynden Bloodraven Rivers in disguise. Bloodraven is the hand of the king to Aerys I and a powerful sorcerer. In the climax, Daemon the Second Blackfyre tries to rally the lords to fight, but the rebellion is a total flop. Bloodraven himself have already marched an army to the gates. The rebellion ends before it even starts. Daemon II challenges anyone to a duel to prove his right to rule, but Bloodraven, now in his true form, refuses to fight him properly. Instead, he arrests him, mockingly calling him Daemon the Pretender. Bloodraven takes the traitors into custody and levels White Walls to the ground as punishment for treason. As for the dragon egg, it's revealed that it wasn't stolen by a lord. It was taken by Bloodraven's spies, Raven's Teeth, who climbed up a privy shaft to retrieve it. Bloodraven keeps the egg, and it's heavily implied that this is the same egg that eventually ends up at the tragedy of Summerhall years later. Dunk and Egg are allowed to leave, with Bloodraven giving Dunk a begrudging respect. Finally, they head back out on the road, continuing their journey toward Winterfell. While George R.R. Martin hasn't released the fourth novella, titled The She-Wolves of Winterfell, he has shared several key details over the years. Picking up directly after the Mystery Night, Dunk and Egg finally arrive at Winterfell. The story is set during a Stark succession crisis. Lord Baron Stark is dying from wounds sustained while fighting Dagon Greyjoy's Ironborn raiders. This creates a massive power vacuum, leaving a group of formidable Stark widows, the She-Wolves, vying for control of the North on behalf of their children. The plot is expected to be a grounded, internal political drama centered on the Winterfell crypts and the tensions within the castle walls. Martin has also hinted that we might see a younger old Nan, possibly a romantic interest for Dunk. Currently on hold until The Winds of Winter is finished, it remains the primary bridge toward the events at Summerhall.